everyone doing tonight? Welcome in. Thank you for joining me. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. Beautiful people. Yeah, I know someone said I haven't been around. Well, you know, the spirit world keeps me busy, and there ain't a whole lot I can do about it, for one, because some of this energy drags me down, which is why I've been having to shield my energy more. So, I don't get paid to be out here. The only people who pay me are the people who pay for my personal readings. So I'm not coming out unless Spirit has a good reason to pull me out. So I did a reading on this a couple of days ago. And let me tell y'all, it knocked me down. It knocked me down for over 2 days. Because the energy was that heavy. It was that very much that low heartbreak type energy. And I understand a lot of people are hurting right now, but it also takes a lot for someone like me to tap into that energy. And then it brings me down. And I can't handle it for very long. Sometimes I'm okay, other times I'm not. And that's just the way it works. That's part of what I do, but at the same time, I got to make sure I keep my head on right and do what I can do to help y'all, but I can only do so much. The rest of y'all got to do the work. I can only advise y'all so far. Either y'all take my advice and apply it or you don't, but I know for people like me, when that energy gets sent my way, it drags me down. So I'm going to try and read on some of this other energy because my spirit guides put another song in my head today when I woke up. And so, again, I understand some of y'all are probably going through a lot of pain. I understand some of y'all are probably hurting, not just even if it's even a romantic relationship. This, for someone, this feels like maybe a boss. This could even be a friend or a family member. And all I could tell y'all right now is, it helps you to alchemize that energy instead of, getting all, up. And I'm not telling y'all to not feel. I'm not telling y'all not to hurt. But what I'm saying to y'all is it would do y'all more justice to say, okay, they hurt me. Yeah, I admit they hurt me, and to let them know they hurt you. And then find another reason to keep going and not allow what they've done to you to hold you back. That's how you use that type of energy. You use it as a driving shield instead of something that's going to hold you down, tie you down. Because that's when you find yourself, losing track of time or you're not sure where you're going anymore. So I'm going to try and, read on some of that. And then if you want anything more from me, y'all are going to have to pay for a personal reading. So I'm only reading on what Spirit brings forward, and that's it. And everything else, it will be a personal paid reading, which I will do in a separate stream after I'm done doing the collective. So again, I understand some of y'all are hurting, and there must be a big collective out there that's doing it. Otherwise, Spirit wouldn't pull me out here like this. So I'm going to try and read on that and see why else Spirit wants me to read on this. Other than I could feel like some of y'all, it feels not just romantic. It feels either a family member, a friend, or professional. So that's the only thing that's changed. And that's what Spirit told me. For some of y'all, this is like a friendship that's taking place at work is what I'm picking up. So, all right, Spirit, show me the overall energy for this collective reading. Please and thank you. Okay, Spirit, show me. Yeah, Spirit needs you to trust in divine timing. I'm going to use this Kipper deck first. You might be getting some news soon. Show me, Spirit. What does this pertain to? Divine timing. There might be, I get a disruption of someone's routine. And part of it can even deal with, you know, this could be an illness. Maybe you've had surgery, or some other problem. Like, you know, a lot of it feels more emotional than anything. Having some anxiety, whether that's just because maybe a relationship ended, or again, because one of y'all got betrayed by a family member or friend. Or even someone you worked with that you thought you could trust. Spirit, what else? And Spirit saying change is coming. And let me tell y'all something. Change is one thing you can guarantee is going to happen. But it's a matter of how you adapt to it. As long as you can adapt to the change, you know, change doesn't have to be bad. It could be good. But does not mean it's going to be, you know, rainbows and sunshine all the way through. No. But it's what you make of it. And I feel like that's the biggest message that Spirit wants to pull through tonight. Because I'm going to tell y'all the song that I got when I first woke up today. I'm sure many of y'all are familiar with an artist, Mariah Carey. It's one of her older songs from back in the 80s, maybe early 90s. I Don't Want to Cry. So, and that's pretty much what Spirit's saying. They don't want you to cry. You know, and your tears, you know, if someone's hurt you, you got to know that you're worth more than that. They're not worth your tears. So why do you keep crying over them? You know, it's almost the energy of stop crying over spilled milk. Because obviously someone did not think of you. And, you know, they were inconsiderate. You know, I'm not saying that you aren't justified in feeling hurt. But now it's how you handle that pain and use it. Are you going to use it as a excuse or a crutch to keep you down? Or are you going to use it as something powerful? It's like, well, now because, you know, I got hurt by this person, now maybe I can, you know, put more of my time and focus into the people who are here for me, or into a hobby, or into my family, or into building, you know, your career. Or all of the above, you know, because sometimes for some people out there, you know, you can be the best person to them, but unfortunately they're not going to appreciate you. You know, not everybody can, you know, appreciate someone's kindness or goodness. Why? Because they're not that way themselves. So that's how you have to look at this energy. So Spirit needs you to disconnect from it. Disconnect from this pain and know that divine timing, that there's more good coming your way. So, alright, Spirit, show me around this. Give me recent past. Because it's time to detach and redirect your energy and where you're going. And who you give your energy to. Don't go around giving your energy to people who don't deserve it. Spirit, show me recent past. Show me present. Show me near future. Yeah, I'm not saying it's not going to be easy, beautiful people. And I understand at some point, you know, the person or the group of people, I understand it felt good, okay? I understand, enjoying time with them, you know, and just making the most of life with this Three of Cups. It made you feel, happy. You may even got a sense of fulfillment. You may even felt like I finally found the right people in my life that I want, to grow with, whether that's romantically, professionally, friendship, even stronger bonds with your family or all of the above. And I feel like many of y'all felt like um, you had found your place, like your home away from home. Even for some of y'all, you might even feel like this this person or group of people is like home away from home for you. There's a sense of security and stability, but that got disrupted. All right, Spirit. So clarify. Why is this here? Yeah, Spirit needs you to take it easy on yourself now. Because with this Three of Cups, in the recent past, I feel like you could relax. And that was, a lot of the energy that you put your time into. There was this sense of renewal I get. A sense of belonging. A sense of being. But it wasn't meant to last, beautiful people. I feel like you're meant to go somewhere else. Some of these people may still be in your life, but I don't feel like they're going to be, like, at the center of it. It might be, like, where, yeah, you forgive them, and I encourage you to forgive them, but doesn't mean you got to keep them up close in your life. So, Spirit wants you to know that things will start to get better if you just take your time, but be compassionate with yourself first. Okay, it's gonna hurt. I'm not saying it's not gonna hurt because I see it's already hurting y'all now. With y'all coming out as this King of Cups with this Five of Cups. Okay, this is about being at loss. A lot of people describe it as being, material loss, but it doesn't have to be. This is the emotional loss of it, of feeling like you've lost this right here. Okay, and it's disrupted your peace, it's disrupted your routine. So Spirit's asking you to disconnect from this, okay, and know that there's new things coming in, because I get news right here. Okay, so there's some news coming in, but this energy, it needs to come to an end right now. Otherwise, I feel like you're gonna be missing out on an opportunity of something great that's coming towards you. Spirit, what else? Show me, clarify this, please. Yeah, it's going to take some strength, y'all. And it's a balancing act. I'm not telling y'all it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to tell you it's going to be completely hard either. But, there's going to be the roller coaster to it. Because with it, I know it's changed and I understand the change may not be great with this, Five of Cups over here. Just like this Five of Pentacles being at a loss. This Five of Cups also represents just, the regret, thinking of maybe even mistakes, even maybe the mistakes you've made. But Spirit believes in you, okay? Because here's a Strength card and they're asking you to hold your power. Don't relinquish your power to anyone anymore. It's time to take it back, okay? There might still be some trouble ahead, but it's still going to get better if you give it a chance. If you look to the future, because I get that yearning energy, which when I was doing the pre-shuffle before I even came out here, let me find that card because I put it back. Oh, where did it go? Spirit's wanting you to focus on your goals, your dreams ahead, not, the ones behind you. It's like there's this need to close the chapter, close the door on the past. Look ahead. Look to this sunset or the sunrise. What are your goals? What are your dreams? What do you see? When you look into your future, what's ahead of you? Not what's behind you, what's ahead of you. That's what they need you to focus on. And that's why they need you to disconnect from it. Yes, this change is not going to be easy, and I get that. I understand change is hard, but it's inevitable. It's something we all are going to experience. And yeah, it disrupts your routine. But you're not in it alone, you know? And I feel like some of y'all have this expectation of this person coming back and giving you the truth, we'll say. Maybe even, more of the truth than what they said before. I don't feel like it's going to happen. I feel like you'd be wasting your time if you're sitting around waiting for them to, tell you something that you feel like you need to hear, or something that they haven't said to you yet that, is more of the truth than what you've been told. I don't feel like it's going to happen, beautiful people. Okay, I still feel like you're only going to get half the truth right here. Okay, because that's all they got. And why? Oh, well, I said this to a friend of mine who I did a reading for the other night. And, I'll put it to you like this. If they already feel like they've hurt you, right, they know you're going to need time to process that pain. And in order to forgive them, move on. Why would they go and pour more into that wound? If they still want that opportunity to still be part of your life, whether that's still in the present or that's in the future, because if, let's just say for an example, um, let's just say we'll use this example because I read on romantic the other night. So I'll use this in like a work professional way. Let's just say that you had a work colleague that, you found out that your boss was getting promoted. So obviously that opens the door to someone new stepping into the role to being promoted. And maybe, you got first win and your manager approached you and asked you if you wanted to take the position. And you said you would think about it. Well, you overhear that someone else also got asked. Like it's been offered to multiple people. That feels like a betrayal, right? You know, and what maybe you didn't know is that though, they had, their first pick of you, they had to keep their options open, right? But they're not going to tell you that, okay? They're going to make you feel like you're the right person for the job, especially if they need to fulfill that position right away, cuz maybe, the new manager that's being, promoted, maybe they're only going to be there for a couple more days, so they got to get someone in the, that position fast. So that feels like only half the truth, right? You feel a little betrayed, you feel hurt. So it's like, well, you know, I have my other colleague over here coming and now telling me that, oh, they got the position where you never got a chance to give your, manager an answer. It was like it was already handed over to someone else. That feels like a pain. That's a betrayal, you know? So what are they going to tell you? Well, they can tell you so many things in order to keep you, happy, but how happy you're going to be, you know, knowing that, you thought you could trust this manager, and even you thought you could trust your colleague who is working with you, who's one of your peers, but then it feels like they both just, betrayed you and went behind your back. And then now there's all this chatter. So what do you do? I mean, if you, care about your job and the company, yeah, you're going to find a way to, make it work. But does that mean you're going to sit around and listen and trust every single thing they say? Of course not. You'd be foolish to. Yeah, we want to give people the benefit of the doubt, but, there is that old saying, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. Don't give them an opportunity to make a fool out of you. And I'm not saying don't give them another chance. I believe in second chances, but once you get that second chance and then you show me you're still just as foolish as before and I can't trust you, it's bye-bye. And I'm done, okay? And, it took me a long time to get, to that place with people. Because otherwise, I would give people chances left and right. And it would be another excuse, another opportunity for them to hurt me. And they're going to do it. Why? Because I give them permission to. How? By allowing them to be in my life. So that's what Spirit's saying to you now. You're going to allow them to be in your life? Are you going to allow them to be that up close and personal? No. When you go to work, do your job and go home. You know, other people you work with, they don't need to know what's going on. They don't need to know what's going on at home, unless it's someone you truly trust, who hasn't betrayed you. But the ones who've already betrayed you, put them at a distance. Love them from a distance. Don't have them all up close. Otherwise, you're gonna find yourself in more hurt. Because Spirit's trying to take you out of this situation. They're trying to show you a better road. But they're saying it's not going to be an easy road either. But if you want better, you're going to have to show them that they can bring you better and you're going to reach for that opportunity instead of falling, and getting stuck in that emotional pain, that turmoil, that, betrayal and not being able to trust again. Okay, it's true. You've been hurt. Yeah, your trust has been fractured, but only by the people who fractured it. Don't go and now, make everyone else around you who hasn't betrayed you bleed the same way. They don't deserve that. Okay? You just know who you can't trust anymore. And that's what Spirit needs you to understand. So where do you put your focus? On your future, your dreams. If you want to go, further up in the company, maybe you need to talk to, a manager above your manager. Say, listen, is there any other opportunities? Because I, I wasn't expecting to be offered the promotion, but, I would have applied for it and yeah, I would have taken it, Now, is there anywhere else I can go? And they might be willing to work with you. Then, maybe there's another location or maybe there's a different department. But if not, and, and then maybe they come back to you and say, oh, well, we decided to go with someone else instead because they have this skill set. Okay. All right. What's that skill set? Do you have it? And if you don't, are you willing to put in the work to gain it so you can grow, so you can, go further up? If we're talking about even family, it's like I tell y'all all the time. Stop allowing your family just because they're blood or even if, they're family to you by marriage. Doesn't give them a front row seat just to walk in and out of your life and treat you any kind of way. That's not an excuse, okay? Do you give them more leeway? Yes. Are you more willing and try and work harder to forgive them because they're your family? Of course. But even them, they have to be put on a shorter leash. Once they've betrayed you, then you know. No. I got, family who's done that to me, and I've had to put them at a distance. It doesn't mean I don't love them, and it surely doesn't mean I don't want better for them, and I want them to be happy. I want that for everyone. But I just know I can't have them up close and personal in my life and know what's going on with me all the time. That's it. And that's how I live it, and that's how I keep my peace. And so that's what Spirit's saying to you. What are you going to do now to keep your peace or to make your life more peaceful so you can be happy and find your fulfillment? And don't, go around looking for it in other people or in other places, especially places that aren't good for you. It's like I told a friend of mine this earlier today. If, if y'all been on my channel before, um, and, listen to me regularly, y'all know I shoot pool. I'm a semi-professional pool player. Even though I haven't played in some years because I tore my shoulder, but I had surgery last year, so I'm getting back into it, right? But it's like I even told one of my friends earlier today, it's like, I miss the game. I miss competing. That's in my blood. It's something that I've grown up with being able to do. The same thing with bowling. That's my other love, as far as sports and hobbies outside of, my career and, spirituality and, reading tarot. And I even write poetry, okay? But I told one of my friends earlier today, it's like, as much as I miss playing, you know what I don't miss? I don't miss being at the bars. Because, no matter whether, I go to a pool hall that has 30 tables like the pool halls I've played in, or I go to, a restaurant, that has, one or two tables, there's still a bar and they're still drinking. And I don't miss being around all of the drinking. I can have fun and not feel the need to drink or have the desire to drink or do anything else. Call me boring. Yeah, maybe somewhat. It doesn't mean that I can't have a drink, once in a while. But I'm not the type that needs to go in and drink every weekend or, every single time I go to the pool. I never did because I'm a competitive player and I don't drink when I'm competing on, a pool table, especially for money. But even when I'm not, just being up there, I don't need to be around that energy. And I've come to realize that. So there's one part of me that's over here, like, I need to get back there. I need to pick up that pool cue again because it keeps calling me. But then there's over here, like, no, I don't want to be around all the people who drink and act foolish. That's the part of it I don't miss. So, am I holding myself back in that way? To a degree, I am, you know, in the hopes that maybe I could find another place I could play to where I don't have to be around that, all the time, where I could really focus on growing in the sport again like I used to and focus on having like, more of the money matches that I'm used to playing and competing in, because it wasn't just like the, in-house tournaments or the big tournaments where the first place purse is $5,000. I want to be able to go in there and pick up my pool cue and be able to, get on a table, even if it's with a couple old friends. I used to play for money with some of my friends, and we'd play for $50 a game. Neither of us were over there at the bar drinking. If we went up to that bar, it was to get a soda. No drinking. That was the one thing we always did. So that's what I want to be around. So, but do I understand that I may have to pick myself up and go in there and still have to get around it sometimes if I want to play in some of the bigger tournaments? Yeah, it comes with it. But do I have to drink? No, and I don't. So, because it's not good for me. So you got to understand where your boundaries are. And so Spirit's trying to say, put up your boundary and make it clear. You know, it's like me being out here. I've had to put up, more boundaries because I can't just allow anybody in my energy. Um, yeah, I read for the collective, but I don't go, breeding up everything like I used to because I can't. I have to shield my energy. So that's a boundary I put up. So I'm not going to go through and, read personally unless someone pays me to. Um, and that's the boundary that I have. And I make that clear. So I may not like it. Okay. But, I'm not going to change this because other people don't like it, you see. Because I still got to do what's best for me. What brings me peace. What brings me harmony. So Spirit's saying, yeah, there is despair here. And I get that, okay? I get a lot of you are hurting. I feel it. And if y'all don't think I feel it, I do. But again, Spirit's saying good news is coming. Good news is coming. Be ready for it. New opportunities are on the horizon. But you got to reach for it. You got to create that opening for it to come in. Because otherwise, if you get stuck in that energy, and this is the other reason why Spirit just made this clear. The other reason why Spirit wants me to bring it up is because what many of y'all may not still understand is when it comes to manifestations, it's all about your thoughts. It's what you think. So if you're focusing so much of your time and your energy on your emotional pain, on how this person hurt you, how they betrayed you, and so on and so on, that's what you're going to manifest, beautiful people. That's all you're going to have coming towards you. But if you can sit there and say, yeah, I hate that they hurt me. Now I got to put my attention on something else. Put your attention on something more positive. Keep your focus there. And it doesn't mean that, maybe sometime throughout the day that, that person or group of people come to mind, and might distract you and take you back into it. Yes, but then you take control again and you're like, no, not right now. This is too good. I got this one project I'm trying to finish up, or I got a proposal I want to present to a client, or, I got this family dinner get together that I'm planning, and we're doing all these different decorations and having all these kinds of desserts. Whatever it is, make it positive, make it count, make it matter. Most importantly, make it matter to you. What makes you happy? Because I'm going to tell you something that a wise woman told me a long time ago. God rest her soul, which is my mama. She always told me to not look to other people to make me happy. Okay. I had to find my own happiness. It didn't matter who was in my life. Okay. Because there were many times in my life I was probably be walking alone, which did happen. So I had to find happiness for me, find it within myself. Not look for it in other people. Not look for other people to fulfill that void, that emptiness. Okay? And I'm not saying to y'all that people can't add happiness to your life. That's not what I'm saying. But at the end of the day, when you are home, when you lay your head down, especially if you're not in a romantic relationship, you know, it's, you, right? It almost feels like it's you against the world. Even if your parents are there, you still know you're, as an adult, you still got to take care of your own responsibilities. So when all those people are gone, and let's face it, and I don't want to try and make this morbid, but I want to give you the reality of why I'm saying this. Unfortunately, people die. They die every day, right? So those people are gone. Who's left to make you happy? You. And it's only you. So stop giving your power away to the people who don't deserve it. For the people who want to see you crash. They want to see you fail. They want to even, unfortunately, there's those sick people out there who want to see you sad and suffer. You know what? Give it to them in happiness. Show them, if they really are, waiting to see you fall, or waiting to see, if you fail again, don't let them see that. Why? I mean, because if they can see that, then they know they're going to get to you. Don't do that. It's not worth it. Focus on the positive. And, and I understand, rock bottom is rock bottom. Yeah, been there too, few times. Yeah, if y'all only knew even half of what I've been through, and I've had to crawl myself out of it, and I have, you know. Did I come out of it unscathed? No. Yeah, I had some bruises, emotional pain, hurt, mental, strain, stress, but I didn't allow it to kill me. I allowed it to help me thrive further, to keep going, despite, the mental anguish, the emotional, even the physical, to my own body. I still had to get it done. Because if I didn't do it, nobody else was going to get it done. And that's the other thing. Spirit needs you to find that independence in yourself. Believe in yourself. Man or woman, it doesn't matter. You are the person who drives the car where it goes. Whatever sunset, whatever, if you want to be on another, continent, if you're thinking of traveling, well, what are you going to do to get there? Does that mean you got to take the next 5 years and, only, work and go home and, and manage your money and put you on a real strict budget in order to get there? Go for it. And I'm not saying that, it's not going to be easy. I'm not saying that you're not going to have those days where you're like, what the hell am I doing this for? You're going to want to throw in the towel. That's more reason to not, to keep fighting. Why? Because you started with an idea, a dream, a goal. Doesn't mean it has to be everybody else's dream or goal or happiness. It just has to be yours. Something you have to believe in. Something you have to want. Something you have to thrive for. Not for everyone else to be there to say good going or good job. Yes, that helps. That encouragement from other people. It does help. But for me, it's never been about everyone else around me encouraging me. It had to come from within me at the end of the day. Because let me tell you something, beautiful people, for those of you who don't know what I went through right after my mama died. But I'll give you a summary of it, okay? When my mama died, I was alone. I was alone. I had no family to lean on. My family left me in the dark for 2 days, in fact. I didn't know she was gone for 2 days. And my mother died on Thanksgiving Day. So, what would you know? Yeah, it hurts. I've been betrayed like that. And I had to pick up the pieces. I had to keep going. And I had to still get up and go to work and pay, my bills and feed me and clothe me and everything else. And yeah, I lose my way for a little while? I did, you know, but in some ways it was good, in other ways not. It depends on your perspective. I lost my way in the context of because of my mother's wish, which was, she wanted everybody to get drunk to celebrate her life. That was her wish to all of us instead of us being sad. Okay, so I said, all right. Of course, I waited like a month before I actually went up to the bar, and I drank myself into oblivion that night to the point to where all I could do was go home and go to sleep. I couldn't do anything else. Okay, and I was also shooting pool, so I had to come to a point where it seemed like I was drinking more than what I had before she had passed away. And it wasn't that I was drinking every day, but it was more than what I wanted, and I should have been. So I had to nip it in the butt, and I did. And I still managed to go up there and shoot pool and play in tournaments and also hold down my job and keep me going. You know, I only had one person I think that I came to know after the fact who at that point had, yeah, lost their parents too, but they were older than me. So in the context of they couldn't understand from the same standpoint as me, meaning because I was much younger. I was only 19 years old when she died, to where this person was already like in their late 30s, early 40s when, their parents had died. So they understood the pain of losing a parent, but to have those empty chapters is what they could not relate to me with. It wouldn't take someone another year almost before I would find a person who could really relate to it in the way I needed somebody to relate to it. But in the meantime, that year, I had to fight for me. I had to make me happy. I had to be the one to say no. I'm not going up there and drinking. I'm going to, focus. I'm going to work my butt off, which I did 60, 70 hours a week, and shoot pool. And yes, imagine me having enough energy to do that. Maybe there were days I didn't, but I still forced myself. And I even had to make myself a little numb for a little while in order to do it, to wear myself down too, so I could go home and go to sleep. You know, instead of, being wrapped up at the bars and drinking myself to what? To the extreme. For what purpose? That's just sadness. And that's me trying to cover up that sadness. I had to feel it. And I hated feeling it, but I had to because I was going to find my strength in it at the end. And in it, I was going to find my happiness, and I did. So I came out of it, a lot stronger. And I knew what I wanted, and I knew where I was going, and I knew how I was going to get there. Okay? Was I going to turn around and look at everybody else or blame everyone else why I would or why I couldn't? No. Of course, you can always say, well, because you did this to me, I couldn't do this or go here or go there. No, it wasn't anyone else's fault. If I failed, it's because I allowed me to fail, not because anyone else got in my way, because I wasn't going to allow anyone to get in my way. And that's what Spirit needs y'all to know that now. Stop allowing people get in your way. Why are you allowing them get in your way of your happiness, of your success? I don't care how big the success is, okay? Take the little wins. Those little wins are going to be the ones that are going to drive you forward. I'm not saying the big ones don't help drastically, but it's all the little ones in between. That's going to keep you going. That's going to give you the motivation, step by step. It's like that saying, slow and steady wins the race. It does. Does it hurt sometimes? Yeah. Walking it alone sometimes? Yeah. It does. But it's the saying too, what doesn't kill you only makes you stronger. So you're going to open that door? You can open the door, spirit. You can allow them to help push you forward. Because I got to tell you, whether y'all recognize and know this or not, you have a whole spirit team rooting for you, cheering for you. They want to see you succeed. They want to see you happy. They don't want to see you sad. And they hate it to see you sad. Even your passed over loved ones can't stand it to see you sad, to see you suffer, especially if it's something that they did. So, meaning like my mama, when I was grieving her, and I felt like I couldn't keep going because she wasn't here anymore, my mama hated that. She hated to be the cause of my tears, of my pain. But, because she had been human, she understood the emotional side of it, that naturally we're going to grieve. But it didn't mean she liked it. And she was there. Even if I didn't recognize it at the time, I knew she was there. Later, I would come to realize that. But in the moment of my grief, could I feel it? No. I had put up that wall, that barrier. So, in that context, beautiful people, think of your overall life. Okay, maybe you haven't lost someone recently. Maybe you're not grieving over a loss, but maybe you're grieving over someone else that's still walking this earth who has hurt you or something's happened. You know, sometimes maybe you got to make yourself a little numb so you don't feel it all at once. And it's okay. And what I also want you to know, it's okay to not be okay sometimes. We all have those days. We all go through them. That's life. But that's also why we're here. We're here to grow, to learn, to evolve, to be better, and do better. But nobody can hold themselves accountable to it except for yourself. So be the master of your own life. It's like I say, be the CEO of your life. Hire and fire and promote accordingly to how people treat you. So who are the ones who have been there, who've been good to you, that you've been able to lean on, who hasn't betrayed you, who hasn't walked away from you, who had your back, through, your low times, but even has been there to encourage you, through your successes. Those are the people you want. The others, and I'm not saying they're bad people, but they might just be a person that they're only meant to be in your life for a short while. And then they're meant to go their separate ways from you. Because not everybody you come across is meant to walk this lifelong journey beside you. And when you can come to that, when you can almost in the context of become comfortable with being uncomfortable for a little while, you're going to find the right people who are supposed to be there when you stop settling and accepting less than from the people who aren't going to give you the best of themselves or are going to be there through your successes, even when, you fall, who will be there to help you up. Like, again, I'm not saying they're bad people, but are they the ones you really want in your life? Do you really need them? You know, and that's the honest question, and that's the honest conversation you need to have with yourself now. Because that's the other thing Spirit's bringing forward. It's time to detach. But they also want you to know you have divine support here. Ask for it. And sometimes that divine support doesn't necessarily just mean in the spirit world or up in heaven. If you want to talk about divine, God, source, spirit, whatever name you want to call higher being by, okay? You do have this. But sometimes life, divine and our spirit guides and our Passover loved ones will send people to us to help us, to give us those messages that they themselves can't deliver because maybe we're not just aware of those messages, those signs or their symbols or synchronicities. But if you, just think of yourself, if you've been praying, if you've been asking, it's like I remember, I'll share something with y'all. I remember right before my mama died, I was, I wanted my person. I was ready. I knew who I was wanted. I knew what I was looking for. And, yes, even at the crazy age of 17, 18 years old, Thinking of myself married? No, I wasn't looking to get married, but I was looking for my forever partner. I was ready. I was more than ready. But then you could say because I grew up so fast, having my mother be sick for, 5 years of my teenage years, that was hell. So I had to grow up real fast with that. So I was ready for my person. And I remember I said, to God, it's like, just bring me my person. I'm ready. Just I need that person in my life. I don't know who they are. I don't know where they're at, but I'm ready. And I prayed for them. And did they come to me before my mama died? No. But back then, they came to me about right under less than a year from the time my mama passed away. And they were everything I prayed for. Everything I could pray for, I found in that person. And though, yeah, things didn't work out. But do I regret the time I spent with that person? No. You know, they were what I wanted, they were what I needed. And no, maybe, we've, grown apart or whatever, and that's okay. Um, and yeah, they've hurt me. Yes, they betrayed me. Yes, they walked away from me. And yes, I had to cry those tears and I had to go through it. But I came out of it stronger and I healed. And I know I'm going to be more than okay. I'm going to be better than okay. I'm going to survive and thrive. Okay. But see, for me, it's not just about surviving, it's about thriving. So it's time for you to learn how to thrive too and be independent. Know that even all this news, yeah, in order for that good, you know, new things to come in, for that change, endings have to come. They have to. But sometimes endings, it's just a doorway of one door closing for a new doorway to open. You know, it's a rebirth, it's a renewal, transitional period. Could it be rocky? Yeah, and it happens, and it will be a little rocky. But just know that the people who have hurt you recently, who have betrayed you, they're not for you. And that's the other thing I just got. This card says, not for you. So know that. Know that the people that you're meant for, who are meant to be in your life, they're worth waiting for. I know it's hell to wait. I know. Patience. Yeah, that's a hard one to get past, especially when you want something right now, but some things are worth the wait. It just means that maybe there's something else you got to do right now before they can come forward. Or maybe there's something they have to do. It could be both. Both of y'all might still have to grow before they can come in. But Spirit needs you to believe in miracles. They need you to believe in miracles. And I made a short this past week, and I said this to a friend of mine too, because there's something that's going on in my life that I'm not going to, share with y'all. There's only, one person, one or two people that might know right now. Yeah, including my brother, two people who know. I'm going to do something probably a little crazy, probably a little extreme, that most people would look at me and say I'm freaking nuts, okay? But, yeah, for other people, it might be extreme, might be nuts, and yeah, it makes things look hellish, we'll say. Yeah, I'm sure it could probably put a lot of people in a depression if they allow it, but I'm not going to allow that. And like I told that person, I still believe in miracles. Miracles happen every day. And what's crazy is at the time that I said that, what did Spirit do? Spirit put a song in my head right after I said that to that person. And that song is When You Believe by Whitney Houston and Mariah Carey. I have not heard that song in years, but I remembered it. And so it was like Spirit was reminding me, yes, miracles will still happen and they're going to happen to you. And I believe that. I know that. No, it may not happen for me right now. And no, it may not happen for me tomorrow. But it's going to happen. Why? Because I'm going to manifest it into my life, into fruition. Because I know I'm worthy. I know I deserve more than what I've gotten, but it's up to me to bring forward what I want and what I feel I deserve, and not just sit around and expect the universe or other people to hand it over to me either. I have to be thankful, and that's the other part. Spirit needs to remind you to be thankful. Be thankful even for the people who have done you wrong. What did you learn from it? Take that away. The lessons. Even, the short while, however long they were, been in your life. Look at the memories you made, okay? As long as you have some happy memories, take the happy memories and the lessons and keep moving forward. Don't look back. There's nothing behind you anymore. It's all in front of you. It's all here right now in the present. So it's up to you to make it happen. No more excuses. That's what Spirit just said. No more excuses. All the excuses are over with. Now it comes down to you and only you. So, if you're dreaming of a miracle, that's what Spirit's saying. And you might have a strong feminine woman who is going to come in and help you. Because I just got mature woman that came out too. Of course, Spirit. Besides mature woman, well, I don't know. Maybe Spirit's trying to tell y'all to listen to me because Fortune Teller came out with it. Okay? I mean, I'm not old, but I'm not young either. I'm 44 years old. So, I'm letting y'all know. I've done it many times over. And yeah, I'm not saying I haven't failed. But you know what I never did? I never stopped trying. I always got back up and fought harder because I'm a fighter. So, what miracles can come forward? Oh no, let's see. I'll pull a few more cards. And then if anybody wants a personal reading, I will set up a stream separately for that. Spirit, let's see. What can a collective expect as far as miracles? Actually, they want me to use this other deck. I should have known. One of these days, I'll have my desk reorganized again. Because I probably got about 40 different decks sitting on my desk right now. Okay, Spirit. What can the collective expect come in? What can they expect to look forward to besides a mature woman that's going to help guide them? Show me, Spirit. Yeah, Spirit's saying even though there's going to be obstacles coming your way, it's the key to your success. It's the key to your happiness. It's the key to your long-standing stability, okay? So, here we are. Here's the mountain, which is all these obstacles, okay? Look at this mountain as a blessing in disguise. To hold you, to give you this doorway, this key, okay? For new things to come in. That's going to create your long-term happiness and success. What is that? For every single one of y'all, it's going to be a different answer. It's going to be something different. Again, what do you see? What do you see in the future? What do you want? You know, what's your ideal dream? You know, as far as your wishes and goals. Okay, now that you have that vision, what's stopping you? That's what Spirit's saying. Because the only person that's stopping you is you. Give me a couple more, Spirit. And then I'm going to pull... I'll pull another oracle card. Close this out. Clarify this, Spirit. Yeah, see... It might mean you got to be on the outside for a while, okay? It might mean this in order to get to this, okay? So, if it means you got to isolate yourself for a little while, there's nothing wrong with that. That's like going into hermit mode, okay? You go into self-discovery. You go within for the answers you're seeking, for your guidance, for your peace of mind, for your self-realization, but also to help heal you, you know, because that's when the star comes out. And that's where you're going to find your sun, this happiness. And you'll have your mind, you know, made up. You'll have everything set and be grounded and make that the center of your world, the center of your focus. And Spirit said, even create a vision board. Put a vision board together. What do you see? Okay, put it somewhere where you see it every day. You know, where maybe it's the first thing you see when you wake up in the morning, the last thing you see before you go to bed, so you dream about it. So maybe in your dreams that your spirit guides bring you messages, little hints, little nudges to kind of guide you on how you're going to achieve or get there. But maybe it's somewhere else in your house. Maybe it's in your office too. You got to have it displayed so you know exactly what you're working for. Whenever you have those moments, you second guess yourself, you doubt. Put it on the wall right there in front of you to remind you. And no, yeah, I'm going through this, you know, hard trial. I'm going through this trying time, but I already know I want this. This is what I'm going for. This is what I'm working for. This is why I'm willing to go through all this hell. Because I understand at the end of it, this is the trail to my happiness, to my success. Finding my 10 of cups, which is emotional fulfillment. And that's all you need, is a vision and a desire. So again, whoever has hurt you, you know, cry your tears. I'm not telling you not to. But don't live in it forever. Otherwise, you may not be able to get yourself out. And then, you know, you may end up turning to things that you don't want in your life, which is hard to get away from once you start, especially if it's a bad habit. So I would encourage you, though, if you need, you know, to talk to a therapist, go seek a professional too. All right, Spirit, could I have a closing message, please, for the collective? All right, thank you. Gratitude is dreaming, beautiful people. That's what Spirit said. And that's the card that came out. I need to find something to lean up on. Oh. Gratitude is dreaming. It says, gratitude is the most powerful manifesting energy in the world. Appreciation for all life, from the shiny, happy parts to the dark challenges, creates an energy that is magnetic to miracles, to love, to purpose, to synchronicities. According to the law of praise, when we are sincerely thankful in advance of seeing evidence of our desires in the material world, this acts as a quickening agent that draws to us the best that life has to offer. Don't wait for the materialization of your desires until you cultivate an attitude of gratitude. You are surrounded by much to appreciate now, both in the visible world and in the not yet visible. Be thankful for the smallest things you do have, the tiniest wins, and let the power of gratitude infuse your every breath. You call your dreams forth through appreciating your blessings in advance. The more you praise, the more that gratitude will grow and show up in the outer world in ways you can't even imagine. You will find you have tapped an unending vein of gold. And here Spirit is just confirming much of what I said and what this reading's about. You know, being thankful. Being thankful, you know, for your tiniest wins. But again, even be thankful for the lessons. Yeah, you know, even for the pain that maybe you've gone through. That was, you know, someone hurt you. And I'm sorry. You know, I'm sorry people have hurt you. And unfortunately, it makes me think of something else I remember my mom always told me. She always told me, like, when I got my heart broken the first time, when we talk about romantic love, she said it would never be my last. But what my mama also said was, it wasn't that it, you know, not that it wasn't going to be my last heartbreak from romantic love, but she needed me to understand. She didn't just mean romantic love. She meant friendship. She also meant possibly even family too. That, yeah, someone was going to hurt me again and again. That's the unfortunate truth about life. And it doesn't mean that people come to you intentionally to hurt you. Yeah, there's sick people out there. We all see it out in the world. But it doesn't mean everyone that comes across your path has an intention to hurt you. Some might, some may not care. But, you know, I still believe there's a lot of good in this world. And I see it, you know, even in the smallest places I didn't expect to find it in. So you just got to believe in that now. And that's where I'm going to leave it, beautiful people, for the collective reading. So where are you going now? Are you on that road to your divine discovery, divine timing, that happiness you see, you got your eyes set on? Feel that despair for a little while and then let it go. Otherwise, as I said, it'll hold you back. All right. Okay. Let me see if there's anybody here. Hi, Jedi. Hi, Sunnyland. How you doing, beautiful? Hey, Cinco. How you doing, baby? Tiffany. I don't know who else is still here. But hi, beautiful people. I hope you're feeling better, Sunnyland. Hey, honey, just know that I got knocked out for 2 days when I did that last reading, so I don't think you were here that night, but I do understand, beautiful. So, you've been lurking, but you've been listening. Well, I appreciate you, Syncope. I know you've been going through it too, baby. I know you're still having your moments of grief over your mama, and I'm sorry. I send my, love and light to you, baby. for me, it'll be 25 years on Thanksgiving that my mom has been gone. And even when I think I'm still doing all right, 25 years later, I still find times up to that point that it'll get me. It'll catch me off guard, so I understand. Hi, Don Marie. Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, my girlfriend said I needed a crown. So she made me one. She made me a few different ones, actually. They're some extravagant ones, we'll say. Syncope, that's typical, baby. Just know that. What you're experiencing, that's normal. Don't think that you're not normal. And, you know, I I always try and tell people that when you lose someone, you never stop. You never get over it. Because it's always there, right? And yeah, there's going to be those times where you're going to feel like crying. Just, you know, because it still hurts or it gets close to the holidays or, you know, even the, you know, date, you know, that they passed away. But then there's other times where you find happiness and you find a reason to smile. And it feels great, you know, when you can, especially when you think of them. But then out of nowhere, it'll hit you again, baby. That's typical. You know, I wish I could say that you'll stop, you know, feeling that way. But, you know, at least speaking for myself, it being 25 years, this Thanksgiving, no, baby. I still feel it. I still have those moments. It's not often, but when I do, I know it. So give yourself that space to feel it and to acknowledge it. You're just being human, baby, because you're missing someone important. It's the presence, it's the absence of their presence is what you're missing most, and the memories. Yeah, Eternal loves my crown. He says it's his favorite one. I got several different ones. He wants me to do a what'd you say, a fashion show? Put it on all my different crowns I have now. I have several that y'all haven't seen yet, so I try to wear them when I can. It is Cinco. It's clear quartz. It's made out of real crystals. So I have, oh my gosh, she made me so many. And a few are very extravagant. Um, Maybe one night I will. I had to put on a pretty dress though, I think, in order for it to look right. The channeling crown, yeah, it is. Especially to absorb some of the other energy I pick up on. But I do love it. Of course, I got my, oh, I just saw a couple bright spirit orbs. My hair's all pinned up. So I have to have my hair down, I think, to put all my crowns on. Otherwise, they won't fit on my head. But one night I will. Maybe. We'll see. So it's good to see everybody. I hope that reading helped y'all. Because all I can say is as soon as I open my eyes this afternoon, I was going to try and get on earlier, but I couldn't get into YouTube. I don't know what the deal was, but it was a constant glitch. Like every single time I try to log into YouTube, it just kept spinning. Like as if I didn't have any connection, but I had to have internet because I was able to message someone. So it was weird, but Otherwise, I would have been on earlier. But I appreciate y'all being here again. If it wasn't for that song, I'm not sure if I would have come on. Because I got to keep my energy shielded as much as possible. You have certain areas where your connection is spotty. Yeah, it's definitely spotty here because I'm out in the country, in the sticks. So I understand. But it shouldn't have been spotty in my bedroom because I streamed from my bedroom one night for a few minutes. And usually when I'm like setting up my streams, like scheduling them, I'm doing it as I'm laying in bed, you know, or sitting up in bed. So I have Verizon. I heard AT&T's bad, but I have Verizon. But I gotta tell you, if I didn't have Verizon, I don't think I'd probably have very good signal at all, or even half a signal, I should say. I heard my neighbors, um, they struggle to get internet too. They told me, and I think one of them does have AT&T. Oh yeah, Don Marie, let's be safe on the road, sweetheart. 468. Verizon is a lot better. I mean, I think Verizon's the best. But I gotta tell you, when I was up in the mountains before I built this house, I had Verizon there and it sucked. Like, it was more spotty than it is here. So I don't know what the deal was today, earlier, but that's okay. At least I managed to make it on later, which I guess would be my usual time I would stream when I do. So maybe you need to get Verizon Senko. I bet you would probably get a lot stronger signal, and it probably won't be as spotty. I'm sure it would help if you can afford it, baby. I know it's not cheap. God, I hate to see that bill every month. But, you know. Alright, my beautiful people. If I don't have a list of readings, paid readings, which I don't think anyone has set one, so... you know, Syncope, I know they mentioned something about hotspots, but I couldn't tell you what it was. But I've been with Verizon for, I'll say 14, a good 14, 15 years, I'll say. It's worth checking into, baby. You never know. You might get a better deal overall. You know, I don't care about the whole upgrading phone stuff. I'll use mine until it runs out. Isn't Verizon owned by the CIA? I have no idea, Eternal. I don't know, baby. That'd be news to me. But I don't keep up with all that conspiracy theorists like you. It wouldn't surprise me if they're all connected, to be honest. You know, but... Well, you know. Alright, it's 1:45 for me. I guess I should sign off before I turn into a pumpkin. So, I don't know when I'll be around y'all. Again, I haven't really been getting on unless it's for my YouTube memberships and my Patreon memberships. They're the only ones who hear from me pretty much daily. Because I do the daily collective for the Patreon members. And then the YouTube members get a short from me, but I go live. I gotta do a live with just my paid members. Outside of that, I don't know when I'll be on next. I have no idea, Eternal. I don't keep up with that, baby. But it wouldn't surprise me. Gosh, that car sounds like crap. Sounds like a hamster wheel. Screaming to get out. It makes me think of one of those, like a Honda Civic or a Honda Accord or something that has like a big muffler on it. Trying to make a 4-cylinder sound like it's got some power to it. Yeah, I got to Syncope. It sounded like a shit door opening for you. It sounded like crap. I mean, obviously it was a stick shift, but no, when I turn my car on, you hear that roar, you know. But obviously I got a V8 though, so big difference, but still. It sounds like a hamster wheel. That's all I can say. It sounds like a hamster wheel. Like somebody trying to let that hamster get loose now. Or those hamsters are working a little too hard. Yeah, it sounded more clear here. I mean, because the main road's right out here by my neighborhood. So I hear all the traffic. Like, I even hear all the tractor trailers go by. But that just, yeah. At the most, that would have been like a V6 Mustang at the most. But I can't even say that. I would say it's probably more like a Honda Civic. Something like that. All right, Don Marie. Well, thank you for stopping in, beautiful. I appreciate you saying hi. Yeah, I guess Eternal and I still got to do another one of our collaborations. I'm going to have to figure out when. When would be the best time to do that again? Maybe next weekend, I don't know. So, and that's cool, Fred. Sorry you got scared, but, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Can't tap into that energy. I gotta keep my energy shielded right now. So, only people who get my energy are the ones who pay for it now. Otherwise, you're gonna have me telling my spirit guides to shut me down for a while. And y'all don't want that, because then y'all wouldn't see me for months. So, well, my beautiful people, I reckon I'm going to say goodnight. And get some of my other work done now that I got that collective reading out of the way. I hope that reading helped y'all. I hope y'all stay happy. And a lot of great things come y'all's way. Just keep believing. Never stop. Always hope. Pages, so I stay here, is what Eternal said. Yeah, it's the only way you can get me to stay right now. So, no, Fred, I ain't telling nothing later, baby. I don't know what you're talking about. So, alright, beautiful people. I'm gonna jet. So, y'all have a wonderful, beautiful night. And the rest of y'all's weekend. Until next time, I'm sending y'all away with many blessings, love, and light. Good night.